All right, so we're going over a few homework questions here. This 45, you said? Okay, so this is problem number 45, which is a great example because there's some things I'm concerned about on the quiz, guys. You have to do a regression equation on the quiz next week, which means you have to be able to store it. You have to be able to turn on and graph the scatter plot because that's part of the question. Guys, but to be able to do the rest of the questions, you also have to know how to use the table and to turn the scatter plot back off so that you can use your other graphing function. So everybody needs a graphing calculator. We're doing problem number 45 off the homework. We're going to quickly type all of this data in. I'm going to make sure I don't have anything in my y equals, and then I'm going to go stat enter and type this data into list 1 and list 2. And I'm not waiting for people who are talking. Anybody not have a list 1 and list 2 because you managed to delete it? Remember, it's clear, enter. Okay, proofread that you have them in right. 5, 7, 5, 6, and 4. 11, 1, 12, negative 3, 15, 5, 16, 9. Okay. On the quiz, you will have to draw a scatter plot, and it needs to look like your calculator screen. So what are the 2 things you need to do to get that to show up? Turn on your plot, so second y equals, good job. Enter until it says on. Sometimes you have to hit it 2, 3 times. I don't know where you're at on the screen. Make sure it's the scatter plot list 1, list 2. I don't care what kind of mark. But what is the second thing so that everybody's looks the same? Zoom stat or zoom 9. All right, so this is what I got on my screen. Now, it didn't tell us what to do here. I would have told you on the quiz which of the regressions to do. The choices we have that we learned about, it's stat right arrow. Which ones did we learn about? Quadratic regression. Does this look like a plain old parabola to you? Okay. Cubic regression, which is like when it's got 3 things, right? Like 2 turning points, which this kind of looks like to me. Yes, on the quiz, I'm going to tell you which one to use. What's the other one we learned, though, that's not on this screen? Yes, be careful. Power regression is the next screen you have to arrow down, and it's this one. This is not a good one to use power regression, but it's possible that the quiz says to use power regression, okay? Just want to remind you where it is. You were supposed to pick for this one, because it has 2, 1 max and 1 min kind of shape going on, I would pick cubic. So gonna arrow back up here and find cubic regression. And I want to store it. So if you have an older calculator, now you just need to put the Y1. If you have the newer one, you need to go down to where it says store and put Y1. And how do we get a Y1? Next to clear, we go vars. It's not second vars, just vars. Arrow to the right. Enter, enter. And then enter until it shows up on your screen. Okay, cubic is the miserable one to write down because there is an A, B, C, and D that you have to write down. This particular question does not ask us to predict a value. I'm going to ask you to predict 20, just because I want to practice this. If we have it stored, how do we predict a value at 20? We can go to the table, but what should our table, how do you turn that on so it says Ask Auto? Do you remember? It's how you set up your table. Do you see it? Table set, which is second window, and you want it to say Ask Auto. Now if you go to table, which is second graph, you can tell it I want to know what's happening at 20, and it'll tell you that we'd have 74.4. Anybody having trouble? Okay, if you're not using that feature and you want your table to just generate values for you, you have to go back to second window and put it on auto. Okay, so now if I went there, I'd see a whole list of values, and I could actually scroll to 20. The issue is if I gave you 17.6 to plug in, that's not on my table, right? I could make it be on my table, but that's a whole other conversation. All right, so I'm going to go back to the home screen, hit enter because it went away, and then we're going to just really quickly figure out how to write this down to 3 decimal places. So number 45 on the homework should have said y equals 0.091 x cubed plus, oh, it's actually minus, I'm just going to write negative, 2.701 x squared plus 24.69, 24.63, that's a 3, x minus 65.205. Clearly, I have room for that. Everybody okay with what I did as far as where I got those numbers? All right. Other homework questions? 2.3, 2.4. Zoe? Nothing? Anybody else actually doing homework yet? Mackenzie? You don't have any questions? Okay. Good question. Yay. 2.4, number 49. Yep, clearly 2.4. What did I just do? Okay, hang on. I don't know what's happening here. Okay. I got this. All right, does everyone have out worksheets 7 and 8 so we can do this in a second? What is the book page? 147? 127, thank you. Oh, I opened the teacher's edition, no less. That will help. 49, okay. Where did it go? I probably just put it in. Oh, it is there. Whoa, there it is. Okay, number 49 says, use the given 0. This is page 1, it's 2.4, page 147, is that right? And I don't have a cursor that I can see, so that's a problem. All right, it says, this lovely equation, write the linear factorization if we have 3i as a 0. Anybody have any ideas how to start this? All right, I'm going to show you some magic here. Okay. If 3i is a 0, what else is a 0, guys? Okay. So if we start to factor those, we have an x minus 3i and an x plus 3i. Now, my brain went to, we should FOIL those together and then do long division to find what's left. But this is degree 5. So if I divide out 2 of them, I'm still going to have how many left? 3. And I'm quite possibly not going to know how to factor that anyway. What have we always started these with? Every one we did yesterday. We started with a graph, right? Whether I had already done it and thrown it up on the screen or you were supposed to do it. So I would like you to graph that real quick and tell me where the rest of the zeros are, because I'm thinking there's some nice ones. Go to your y equals and type it in. I'm not going to do it on the screen because it takes me forever. No. All right, so if we graph that in a standard window, it looks to me like -4 and +3. If I change my window to be really tall up and down, like my y values to be -100 and 100, can I get any better shape out of this? Not really. Okay, it's coming up here, down here, and back up here. Somebody do trace. Is this -4? Trace -4 is a 0. 3 is a 0. And this one is maybe +0.5. Anybody? Okay, 0.5. This is a great question that was asked because someone is going to write these factors down. Okay, we have x minus 3i, x plus 3i, x plus 4, x, that was not 0. What was this? 3 minus 3 and x minus 0.5. Yes. Yep, it's always x minus the 0. Good question for the factor. Great question. This is wrong. Does anyone know why this is wrong? If I FOILed this all back together, I would not get this. Someone in this room can tell me why I wouldn't get that. Okay, if it says linear factorization, I have to have powers only of x. So yes, there is a part on the quiz where it says you have to have real solutions, so you would have to FOIL that part together. This one you don't want to do that, but you would have gotten an x squared plus 9. But guys, there's something missing. What's the leading coefficient of our original polynomial? The leading coefficient is 2. Is there a 2 anywhere down here that's going to give me back that 2? Okay. You could write back here 2x minus 1 for this instead of x minus 1/2, or you could just throw the 2 out front. But there has to be the same leading coefficient when you're done, or it won't FOIL back together. So this is actually what they were looking for, probably the linear factors here. Or you could have written this one, instead of the 2 out front, you could have written 2x minus 1 here. No, you have to leave it with the eyes on this because it says linear factorization. That means you can't have any squares. They have to, all of the factors have to be just an x. That's not on the quiz, by the way. It doesn't say linear factorization on any of them. Other homework questions? All right, can we talk about work? Is this 7A, guys? In this class yesterday, we did go over the vocabulary, right? On 7A? Is it 7A? Okay. We went over the vocabulary at the top here. Was there anything you wanted me to go back over? Anytime I tell you the degree of a polynomial, what is that degree telling you? Okay, no. The degree tells you the number of zeros, okay? It tells you the end behavior is odd or even, meaning if it's even, both ends are up or down. If it's odd, they go opposite directions. It doesn't tell you bounce or cross. That's what? The multiplicity, yes. So if you have, like, you've factored it and it says this, that means that it bounces at 3. That's multiplicity. The other thing the degree tells you is just the total number of possible zeros or roots, right? What does the degree minus 1 tell you? Because it's there's a question on the quiz, which is also called turning points, okay? The degree minus 1 tells you the number of turning points. All right. I just want to go through these at the bottom really fast, since no one else has a question at the moment. What could I do to this? Okay. If I take out an x, a negative x maybe, I'd have an x minus 4. Everybody okay? So what can you tell me? Let's see. What's the degree? Degree 2. Leading coefficient is -1. So what's the end behavior? If it's even degree, both ends are going the same way. It has a negative leading coefficient, so both ends are down. We're not going to write out end behavior. That's just what we're going to do is say there's our sketch. The end behavior, okay, EB for end behavior is both ends down. Where does it actually cross at? +4 and what's this? Yeah, nope. If I set this equal to 0, guys, what are my zeros going to be at? 0, no, not 1. Negative x equals 0 would just be x equals 0, right? There's a 0 at 0 and 1 at 4. And it's opening down. And it's not doing any bounces because there's no multiplicity. All right, what can I take out of an x out over here? Yeah. Left will be x squared minus 3. Is that right? Okay. Is that going to factor further? No, but if I set it equal to this, I could say I have zeros at plus or minus square root of 3. And a 0 where? I set that equal 3x equals 0 means there's an x at, or a 0 at 0, not 3. The 3 is just a stretch, guys. Okay, so we have a 0 and a plus or minus 3. Any multiplicity? I think we're doing more than I really wanted you to do on this section, but any multiplicity here? Meaning any bounces? No, it just crosses at 0, negative square root of 3, positive square root of 3. All right. Degree was 3, leading coefficient was what? So if it's a positive leading coefficient with an odd degree, where does it start on the left side? Starts from the bottom. If it had been a negative, it would have started from the top. All right, I really think that's all we were supposed to be doing on this. Let's see what's coming up here. Everybody got that? Number 3, let's go with what this should look like. I don't care about the zeros. I don't even care about this. I just want to know the end behavior. What should it be doing? Because it's got a negative leading coefficient, it's degree 5, leading coefficient, -4. So where should it be coming from on the left? From the top, because it's odd degrees, so normally it would go like this. It's negative, so it's going to flip over. Now, it might be doing some loop-de-loop stuff, and I said I wasn't even going to draw this. I was just going to draw. It's going to start from the left, do something, and go down on the right. Okay? I don't know how many zeros it has. Doesn't factor, it might just do this. Okay? But the end behavior is really all I cared about on these questions. What's the end behavior on this one? What? It's going to be a parabola because the degree is 2. Remember, it's not always the first term. And the leading coefficient is -11, so it's going to open which way? Down. Is that all those, or is there one more? Okay. No, the degree is the highest exponent power. It has nothing to do with anything else. The degree is the exponent power. So the degree here was 3. The degree here was 2. Okay. All right. This one we're supposed to make a rough sketch without a calculator. This time it's factored so we can do the zeros. Okay. Where are the zeros? -5/2, 1, and 4. Okay? Is there any multiplicity or bounces? No. If I FOILed this all together, I'd have a 2x times an x times an x, so I'd get a 2x cubed. So where am I going to start graphing? Bottom, and it's going to cross at all these places. That I have no idea if that's really how high it goes or anything, but we don't have a scale on our y. We're good. Number 6, where are the zeros? Okay. What does this mean? That there's a squared on this. -3 is of multiplicity 2. So it's going to bounce here at -3. Now, if this is degree what? No. The whole polynomial, it's an x squared and an x, so it would be an x cubed if we had to FOIL that out. Okay, where does it start if it's a positive leading coefficient and a degree 3? From on the left side, is it going to start top or bottom? An x cubed looks like this. Is there a negative that flipped it over? Nope. So it's going to start down here. When it hits -3, what's it going to do? Bounce. So then what's it going to do at 1? Go back up and cross. Guys, I'm not going to take your calculator away from you. But you shouldn't have to type that in if that's all I ask is like zeros and multiplicity. It's all factored for you. And you should know, be able to predict on your calculator what it's going to look like so you know if you typed it in right. Okay, 7 is really easy. There's just 4 zeros. Tell me where they are. Okay, so it would be what? Degree? If I multiplied that all out, I'd just get a 1x to the 4th. So where are the where are the ends? Both ends are up. So it's going to come from up here, cross, 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 cross. All right, number 8 is what degree? We have a negative 3x to the 4th, but then this one would be, when we fold it all out, an x squared, and this one back here would have an x. So it's a negative 3x to the 7th. So odd degree is normally this, but the negative means this. So it's going to come from the top on the left. Okay, what's it doing at all these zeros? What does this one have? Okay, so that's a 0 multiplicity 4, so it should bounce. Pretend I can write bounce. And then what's it doing at 5? Multiplicity 2, so it's going to bounce. And then it has a 0 at negative 1 right here, which is just multiplicity 1 if you were writing it, which means it's going to cross. All right, so at 0 it's supposed to bounce, at 5 it's supposed to bounce, and at 1 it's supposed to cross. Starting from where? Left side. What does it do at 0? And then I come. Oh, yes. Okay. I was good until I started to draw. Is that what you're telling me? Until I started putting dots on there? That one should have been at negative 1. Yes, so it should have come from over here. What's it doing at negative 1? Crossing. Oh, yikes. Made a really big dot. Okay, that's negative 1. Then what's it do at 0? Bounce. And then what's it do at 2, 5 out here? Okay, if I bounce, I end up going down. Is that what I was supposed to do? Yes. All right. We're not going to do all of the ones on the next side. Tell me, if this is what I was typing in my calculator, why is this not a good graph? This is degree what? 5. So this is not showing degree 5 end behavior, right? Okay, this one shows degree 5 end behavior, but what's wrong with this picture? I can't, look at this, it says negative 7,500 to 7,500. Can you tell where the zeros are? So this one is good for finding 4 of the zeros, but it's not got the right end behavior, okay? Wrong end behavior. In other words, you can't see all of the graph and all the zeros. And this, you can't see where the zeros are. Or the turning points or anything else. All right, so that's an important question about what's going on that you need to be able to predict ahead of time. Make a great quiz question, though it's not on the quiz. If I give you an equation, I say, what's wrong with this graph? All right, I'm going to skip the rest of this and go talk about worksheet 8. Because that's the homework that's being added to the homework check. And I want to make sure we get a few of these done together. You have to do problem 2. Okay, I'm just going to talk about problem 1 really fast. All of the front side on A says list all the possible rational zeros. So let's practice that. It's factors of what over what? Constant over leading coefficient. What are the factors of the constant? What is the constant? 1. So the factors are plus or minus 1. What is the leading coefficient? 2. What are the factors of 2? Okay. Now make that into a nice list of numbers for me. 1 over 1 or 1 over 2. How many numbers is that actually, though? 4, right? Because it's plus or minus. I just didn't bother to write that. So there's actually 4 possible zeros. No, you don't. If you write it once, I'll be good. Who do you need? Okay, thanks. All right, guys, the second thing is find all the rational zeros. Okay, rational zeros are no ones that can be written as a fraction. Graph it. Look what I found here. I got a negative one that worked, a positive one that worked, and a positive 0.5 that worked by graphing it, okay? You guys, though, have to do number 2. That's all I got to do is list them. It's fine on that one. Number 2, it says list the possible rational zeros. What are the possibilities for 33 over 1, guys? 1 and 33 and 3 and 11. That's it, right? So that's part of the answer for number 2. Then I graphed it, and look what happened. I got negative 3 was a 0, but nothing else was nice. So I actually did the division, and it came out this, and I did quadratic formula, and it was disgusting. So the only real nice 0 on number 2 was what? Can anybody see my paper, my graphs up here? Yes. The only rational 0, I just did a homework problem for you, was at negative 3. You don't have to, nope. But I'm just showing you that I found the other zeros on the calculator, and they're long, nasty decimals. That means they're not rational. I proved it by doing quadratic formula, but I don't care. You don't have to do that far. All right. If it said find all zeros, you'd have to do that. Okay. Number 3, I was going to do together with you. Number 4 is homework. Number 3 says list them all. What are all the factors of 6 over 1, guys? 1, 2, 3, and 6 in any order is fine. Why don't I have any fractions on my list? Because the leading coefficient is just 1, right? So putting them over 1 isn't doing anything. All right, then I graphed it to save us time, and I found negative 2 was 1. So help me. What do I do now that I know negative 2 is 1? I put negative 2, and I have 1x cubed plus 7x squared plus 13x plus 6, so I don't need any 0 placeholders. I bring this down. I do negative 2, 5, negative 10, 3, negative 6, 0. Then what? How do I find all the rest of the zeros? If I could factor it, yes, but this says x squared plus 5x plus 3. Is that going to factor? No. So how am I going to have to find the other zeros? There aren't any other nice ones that work on the graph that are nice. Why do I know they're not nice? Because if they were nice, this would factor, and it doesn't. What? 6 is a possibility. 6 doesn't work, though, okay? This is list all the possible zeros, but the only one that was on that list that worked was negative 2. All right? To find the other 2, I'd have to do quadratic formula. What's b squared? Minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. That is negative 5 plus or minus, what's 25 minus 12? So there's 2 of the zeros, and the third one was at negative 2. Okay? So when you go to do number 4, you're going to have find one that works out nicely. Looks like I wrote down here 0.6. If you want a head start on number 4. Okay, I graphed it. The other ones aren't nice, so you're going to have to put 0.6 in your box, and then you're going to have to do quadratic formula at the end, okay? Number 5, it says state the possible zeros and then factor. So at the end, I have to write it as factors. What are the possible zeros here? Plus or minus what over what? 1 on top, and all the factors of 5 on the bottom, which would be 1 and 5. So what are my possibilities? 1 over 1 or 1 over 5. Okay? That's part of the answer. Then I graphed it, and I found 1 worked and -1 worked. So we're going to do successive division. 5, 1, -5, -1. Bring down the 5. Add, multiply, add, multiply, add. -1 also worked. Does it matter what order I do those in? No. Your work will look different, but you get the same thing after you've done both of them. As long as you do them successively. Okay, bring down this 5, multiply, add, multiply. So what is my final factored answer? 5x plus 1 plus x plus 1 and x minus 1, because those were my zeros that worked. What if you had gone the route of using the calculator? Guys, super important. Please pay attention for a minute here. What if you had found this other zero and it came out -0.2? Because that's the other answer. So you would write x minus 0.2, x plus 1, and x minus 1. Why would I tell you that's wrong and not give you full credit? Because the leading coefficient is what? So you could throw the 5 out here, and these would be equivalent, okay? But you can't leave off. Make sure at the end your leading coefficient matches. I did it by division, and then the 5 stayed there at the end, okay? But if you do it by graphing, you got to make sure that 5 is out there. Yes. 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 So that one's right. They're both right. Yes. It does say on the quiz, and we'll practice this on Monday on the review, but it does say show work and explain how you got this. So I think you have to do the division at least to show me that part. I don't care which way your final answer is written, okay? But you have to confirm. It says like confirm by division or something, okay? All right, going to the back. This is on the quiz next week, so I'm bringing it back. This is from section 2.1, okay? This is more 2.1, guys. So you have to do number 2, which is a beautiful thing, because what happens in number 2? As soon as you square both sides, you just get rid of the radicals, right? So that one's going to be easy. Make sure you check your answer. Number 1 is like one on the quiz, though. What happens? Okay, some of you aren't paying attention, and this is on the quiz, and it's not going to go well for some of you. We did not have one just like this last time we quizzed on 2.1. What happens when you square both sides? Okay, this side is just going to say that, but what's going to happen over here? So you're going to have to do k minus 1 times k minus 1, which is k. Okay, I can't draw a k apparently. K squared minus 1k minus 1k plus 1 equals 6k minus 15. Now what? It's a quadratic, so how do you solve a quadratic? Good job. So I have k squared minus 2k plus 1 minus that 6k over to this side and add the 15 over to this side so that it's 0, which would be k squared minus 8k plus 16. How did I do? Okay, so how will that factor, or will it? X minus, oh, yeah, K. I told you I can't write K's. K minus 4 and K minus 4. So we got a solution at K equals positive 4. Now we have to check it though. Is 4 minus 1 the same as the square root of 24 minus 15? 4 minus 1 the same as the square root of 9? Yes. Yes. On the quiz, there is one answer that does not check. So you need to, I don't care if you show it, but you have to show me that you found an extraneous root that didn't work. How would you start number 3? This is a homework question. Yes, you want to move this over to the other side so that you have 6n plus 15 equals 4 plus n, or n plus 4, whatever you want to write. Okay. Maybe we should do this one. I don't know if this one has extraneous solution or not. Oh, I don't have much time, do I? What's the other one that's homework? Or that, yeah, this number 5 is homework. Okay, this is an awful question. To square the left-hand, I'm doing a homework question here, so to square the left-hand side is going to be nice, but to square the right-hand side, I have to do what? Multiply it by itself, because everything isn't in a radical. What happens on the left is 1 minus r. Help me over here. What's 2 times 2? Then I have 2 times a negative square root of that. So I get negative 2 square roots of that. In here, I get another negative 2 square roots of that. What is negative garbage square root of garbage times another negative square root of garbage? Positive square root of this times square root of this would just be the garbage. So 3r plus 1. All right. Now we have to isolate the radical again. So we're going to combine these and get a negative 4 square root of 3r plus 1. Then we're going to subtract the 4 over here, and this 1 over here, and this 3r over here. So I get a negative 4r minus 4. Could I do a little fun right here? If I take out a negative 4, what'll be left over here? R plus 1 equals square root of 3r plus 1. Okay, square both sides again. The one on the quiz is not this complicated. There is one you have to square twice. This will be r squared plus 2r plus 1 equals 3r plus 1. If I subtract a 1 off both sides and a 3r, what do I have? Okay, what can I do to that, guys? Take out an r. So what are my 2 solutions that I'm supposed to try? Okay, if I go back to the beginning, if I try 0, I get square root of 1 equals 2 minus square root of 1. Does that work? That checks. If I, that was putting in the 0. If I put in a 1, I'll have square root of 0 equals 2 minus square root of 4. That's also true. They both check on that one. The ones in the quiz are like the ones on the review that I gave you today. Okay? So your assignment, guys, is to do everything that's on the homework check. So